Okay, I think we're on. Do a quick test of the channel, but I think everything's working okay. Okay, cool. So we are going to be talking today about how to use Unity in a team project at GDU. And generally speaking, working as a team in Unity can be a bit of a hassle, especially if you're a beginner. And what you guys may find is that when you're working on projects in Unity, you're all gonna be working in your own separate project, and then you're gonna export files and then try to put them in the same project together, and that can be kind of a pain. So one good thing that Unity offers is they offer something called Unity Collab, and Unity Collab is this really great service. If you're familiar with programming, it's very similar to a program called Git or GitHub, and it allows people to merge all the changes that they make in an app into one master project file. And you can do that in Unity. It's just Git doesn't, I don't know, everyone complains about Git when you're using it for Unity, mainly because you're not just dealing with code, you're dealing with art, you're dealing with 3D models, audio, levels, right? Scenes in Unity. It can be kind of a pain. So I have Unity opened up here. I'm actually, I should just create a new project. So I'm gonna create a new project, and I use Unity Hub. For those of you who aren't familiar with Unity Hub, it's a slightly different version. Wait, I don't want to say it's a different version, but there's a Unity download, right? Let's do this. Yeah, /download. That was one of those. So usually you get to choose. So if you do Unity, I don't think it'll download Unity Hub. It may or may not. But I recommend you use Unity Hub instead. So if I hit the back button and right here, right next to it, you just get the option to download Unity Hub. The difference really is that Unity Hub lets you have multiple versions of Unity. So right here in my list of installs, I have all these different versions of Unity that I use, which is really helpful because if you start a project in a specific version, you kind of want to stick to that, and you want to open the version of Unity that the project originally started in. So for our game Cambio, which is the first GDU game we ever made, and we're still working on it. It's here somewhere. The version, where is it? I have such a long list on this computer. Right here. The version, oh, I didn't show you. But it was version 1.2 or 1.8, and the newest version right now is 2.14. So that's probably the version you have. Right now it's going to open Cambio, but we don't need to look at that right now. What's most important right now is that you have a login email address that you use for Unity. For our projects, for Game Developers Unite, right? We have 3 projects. We have Team 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗥𝗡𝗠𝗡, we have Team Up Top, and we have Team, what was the other one? Shoot, I'm blanking on the other team. Scrubs, right? So you may be tempted to use your own personal ID, but we can't do that. And there's a reason why, and I'll explain to you. I'll just explain to you why that is right now. So when I look at my little sidebar here, GU are my initials, Game Developers Unite, and this is the Game Developers Unite official Unity account. And if I go to organizations, right here, I'll get this kind of dashboard of all the organizations we have. You don't have to really worry about this. But what's important is right here on the left-hand side, you see my account, projects, dashboard, organizations. Projects are the important part. So let's see, how's Cambio doing? It's taking a while. So right here I have a bunch of projects that I have on this account, a bunch of stuff, a bunch of tests. And let's look at gravity shift. This is 𝗥𝗘𝗤𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗘𝗡. This is what we called it before we named it 𝗥𝗘𝗤𝗥𝗘𝗠. And this is my project. So the cool thing about Unity is you get all this analytics and you have something called Collaborate, and that's what we're going to be using today. And Collaborate has a basic free version and an advanced version. And obviously we use the basic free version, and there's limitations to that. They're not too bad. We're able to handle it pretty well. Cambio has a team of 6 people. So on the left hand side right here, I'm going to users, by the way. Sorry, I didn't really explain what I was doing there. But right here on the left hand side, there's a menu, and down here in settings is where I want to be, and I want to be actually in Unity Teams. Unity Teams is the important part. So I'm going to click here, and oops, maybe it's users. Might be wrong. Yeah, it's users. Okay. So right here, as you can see, I have 3 accounts tied to this project right here called Gravity Shift. So it says right here, so for the project Gravity Shift, there are 3 accounts that have access to it. So Collab is basically like a cloud service for Unity. So your project is going to be on the cloud, and you can download it on any device as long as you have access to the account. The reason I think it's better that you guys don't use your personal Unity ID accounts is that as a team, you're actually going to be sharing 3 accounts. So right here, I'll show you guys how to add seats in a second. Yeah, this is 𝗥𝗘𝗤𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗘𝗡. I'm going to leave this open for now. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to show you how to start Collab, how to initialize Collab to work on your project. So we're just going to enable it. It's very simple. So I'm going to open up Unity again, and make sure I'm in the right account. So I'm going to sign into my account. On Unity Hub, you have this little thing right here to sign in, sign out. So I'm just going to sign in to the main account. Okay, I'm in, and I want to create a new project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit new. And it doesn't matter what version, it doesn't matter the template you use, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to call this workshop on Unity Teams and Collab. Alright, I'm going to create a project, and it's going to take a little while. In the meantime, while I wait for that to load, I want to talk about these seats. So you guys are going to have to share these seats, and it's really not that big a hassle as it may sound. So basically what we do for Cambio is we limit how many people actually use the project, because if all you're doing is 3D modeling, music, 2D art, and maybe just design, like pure design, like on paper, you don't actually need to be using Unity. If you're doing 3D models, you can export your models to an FBX and put them on the cloud drive, right? And that's actually really important. You want to use the drive. So right now, if I go to my drive, I have access to, let's go to star. I have access to Team Hack and Slide. Let's do Cambio. So here's all the files for Cambio, and as you can see right here, we have an art department, we have our current build, we have our product backlog, which is right here. So we have a list of like all the tasks that everyone's doing, and you know, we have the game design document, all that stuff. Everything that the team needs is here on the drive. So if you're 3D modeling, or if you're, in other words, creating assets, you don't actually need to be opening Unity at all, right? You create a 3D model in Maya or Blender, and then you upload that FBX to the Google Drive, and you just let someone know. Tell them, oops, I'm in the wrong folder. So art department, we have a bunch of stuff, right? We have 3D assets, we have GUI concepts, concept art, all kinds of stuff, right? So the people who are working in Unity would be the level designers, programmers. I mean, 3D modelers could do it. If they have another role in the team, then they may want access to it. So what we did is I just created a main account, and then game dev SMC2 and game dev SMC3, and I gave the password. The password's the same for everything, and we assign the accounts to certain people. So this one's for me and one other person, and this is shared by 3 people, and this is shared by 3 people. And you may find that you get logged out a couple times, but it's actually not that big a deal. And I'll show you in a second. So I think the project's ready. Oops, that's on it. Okay, so this is the new project that I created. And what I want to do is I want to enable collab. So for those of you who are absolute beginners in Unity, don't be scared. We're just going to be doing 1 or 2 simple things. So it's not too advanced. You're going to be able to, you'll know what I'm doing, and I'll explain it to you, but it's very, very simple. I'm not doing anything crazy. But in here, right, we have our windows. This is our project folder. This is where all our things are. This is where all the objects and assets that we have for this for the entire project, like 3D models, artwork, music, levels, all that stuff. And here in the inspector, here on this side we have the inspector, and then we have a services tab. Yours may not look exactly like mine, but you should have a services tab. You probably won't have a lighting tab, but you probably will have a services tab, and it might already be open. If not, you can go to window. I think it's here. Services, yeah, right here. So if for some reason this isn't here, right, let's say it's gone and you're just stuck here and you're like, oh my god, where am I? You can just go to window, general, services, boom. And right down here you'll see a familiar word, collaborate. This is what we want to enable, so I'm going to click on it and you're going to see this little check. So I'm going to check it, and now it's set up for collaborate. Now what does that mean, right? What does that mean? Well, we have this little button up here, and now it's activated. So before it was grayed out. You may not have noticed, but it was actually grayed out before. And now we have this, and we have a little arrow pointing up. And so you get these new icons right here. We got this little plus icon here, and you'll see a bunch of new icons later on. Basically what this plus means is, hey, this is a new change. Something changed here that's new, that's not on the cloud. So it's just kind of marking all the individual items that you changed, and you'll see it here too. So if I look in the scene, and we're in sample scene right now, this is just the basic scene that starts when Unity starts. So obviously it's saying, hey, this is a new change, and that isn't saved to the cloud yet. So it's just to remind you to upload your changes. So how do you do that? Well, it's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is, you'll see this little arrow button. It has an arrow and collab, and this icon will change depending on its status. So if you have an arrow pointing up, it means that you have changes that have not been uploaded yet. So it's asking you, it's telling you to upload, right? Or publish. I think that's the technical term that Unity uses. So I'm gonna publish these changes to the cloud, and then I'm gonna show you how to add the other team members to your project, and then I'll show you how to get them to download the project onto their computers. So first, right now we want to update the changes that we've made. So right here we'll give you a list of the changes, and you'll see these 2 little buttons here where you can actually see the differences. In this case there aren't, because these didn't exist before, so they're brand new. And then this option is to revert to the cloud version, and you can do that for each item, which is really cool. So you can pretty much get rid of your changes and go back to the cloud version. I'll show you how to do that. Right now I'm just gonna describe what I changed, and that's really important. You should definitely do that, because the cool thing about collab is that every time you hit this button, it's as if it's created a save point in your project. So right now I'm gonna say I created a blank project, and I'm gonna hit publish, and it's gonna do this little upload thing. And good, we're up to date. Created blank project. So now it's actually part of my timeline. And to look at that, you can just click this button here. So if this goes away, it's okay. This check mark means, by the way, this check mark means all your changes are uploaded and you basically are all up to date with all the changes on the cloud. There's no difference between what's on the cloud and what's on your local computer. And if I want to look at the timeline, I can just click this little list button and it'll give me a history. And the cool thing is that you can actually go back in time to different parts in the time, to every part in the timeline. So I can click this button if I want to go back to it. I probably shouldn't have done that. Don't do that. Don't mess me up. Oh, it did it. Okay, well, let's restore. Let's go back. So you may have noticed that my scene disappeared because this is before the actual project got instantiated, or at least the scene got instantiated. It's interesting to see. Doesn't really matter. Let's just go back to that because obviously I want my scene back. It's gone. I want it back. So I'm gonna hit restore. And yep, hit yes. Reload. Okay, great. My scene's back. As you can see, it's back. Let me just put this in the corner here. Okay. So now my scene's back. Oh, good. So happy. So how do I add my team members, right? And like I said, you're gonna have to juggle 3 accounts. It's not that big a deal. I'll show you how to do that. So how do we get to our teams page? You can, if you have Unity Hub, you'll get this icon in the bottom corner, and you can right click it and you can just click go to web dashboard. If you don't have that, you can just go to unity3d.com. So unity3d.com and log in. So let's just say I logged out, and you'll see this little anonymous icon. I'm gonna click here, click login, and I'm just gonna log in again. So close all these because they're not in anymore. Okay, so I want to find my project, and it's actually a little annoying, but whatever. I'm gonna hit organizations right here. So I just click this little my icon. I'm gonna click organizations, and then I'm gonna click projects. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, but you can always pause it. So okay, what did I name that project? Something workshop on Unity Teams and Collab. So you probably won't have a big list like this, but let's just click on it. Great. So all this stuff doesn't really matter. Don't have to worry too much about it. I'm gonna hit settings. I'm gonna go to users. Now, right now, I have. Oops. Right now, I have one team member here, and what I need to do is I need to add my 2 friends. Hold on 1 second. I'm getting this weird noise. What is that? Okay, hold on 1 second. It's driving me crazy. I'll be right back. I'm gonna stop the stream. I'm gonna change the audio settings real quick. Okay, that was weird. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that. So all right, so I want to add my 2 teammates, and they're already on the system here, but for you, you're just gonna have to type in the email. So right now, I have these 2 already in my organization, but you can just type in the email. So if you created, so what I recommend is that each of the teams create 3 Gmail accounts, right? So team @. So we have one called gdu.hack_1@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure that's the name. gdu.hack_1, right? And then we also have 2, and 3. So when you made this project, hopefully you're signed in to user 1 in this case. And then now all you have to do is add user 2 and user 3. I'm not going to type that in, but basically just type in the email and then hit add. And then they'll show up down here. And I'm going to type in the other email. Just imagine I'm doing that. And I add them to the project. So remember, you can only do 3. So don't forget that. Don't if you go over, well, if you go over, it'll tell you. But that costs money, and it's a lot. It's like $120 a year. Actually, no, it's actually more than that, because it's $120 a year for the advanced version, but that still only gives you 3 seats, and then you have to pay another $6 a month for the next seat, for each additional seat. So it gets pretty pricey. That's something we're trying to purchase for the club right now. But as long as your project is under 1 gigabyte, and it likely will be, I'd be really shocked if it wasn't, you won't have any trouble using Unity Teams and Collab. You should be good. So right now they're added, and then you will get an email about that. So you'll get an email. See, I added myself and I removed myself. So it says, hey, you're removed. Hey, you're invited to join. Cool. So it's just letting me know that I got added to your project. That's great. So how do you download the project, right? You actually do it from Unity. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to close this right here. I'm going to close this project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the account. So I'm going to sign out, and then I'm going to sign in. To the second account. So imagine you're the other people on the team and they want access to this account. So you gave them access. So what do? Well, hopefully you gave them the password and the account information. So I'm going to sign in. And so I'm signed in. Let me open this again. And now I want to look. So in Unity Hub, this is why Unity Hub is so good. So on Unity Hub, you get this option for your project. So right here, I'm in the projects folder, and I'm looking at all the projects on the disk. And that's fine, but obviously your other teammates aren't going to have that, right? You guys aren't going to have that. You probably won't have the project that's on the cloud. So guess where it is? It's in the cloud. So we're going to click this. And look, now I have Workshop on Unity Teams and Collab here. So now I can just open it. It looks like you may have to ask the team manager what version of Unity this project was opened in. Right now it says 2.14, but I'm not entirely sure that it's saying that because it absolutely knows the version on the cloud, or because it was opened recently on here and so it knows. But generally, if you open the project in the wrong version of Unity, it will give you a warning and say, hey, you're opening it in a different version. Are you sure you want to do that? And it'll say, yes, I made a backup or whatever. Click cancel, get out of there, and make sure you open it in the correct version of Unity, because different versions of Unity, they have problems. They don't always coexist very well. So just try not to do that. So when I click this, it's grayed out. For a reason, because it's not on my computer. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to ask for where to put it. This is my Unity projects folder, so I'm just going to put it there. So I'm going to hit select folder, and then it's going to get set up. So about the juggling accounts thing, it's actually not that big a deal. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to try to see if I can show you how to juggle the accounts, like how easy it is. But basically what's going to happen is that if someone else logs in, right, because you're sharing account 2 and 3 and 1 with multiple people on your team, and what's going to happen is that maybe you guys are working at the same time, and that can cause some issues. But will normally happen is that you'll just get signed out of collab in Unity, which isn't that big a deal because it doesn't close Unity, so you can still make your changes. So right now I'm in my other account. See, I'm in GDU2, and I open the project and I have my collab history open, but if you don't remember how to open that, you can just click the collab button and click this right here, and then it'll show your history. So this is the user account. I probably should not have named it that. I probably should have named it GDU1, so you know for sure that it was account number 1 versus account number 2. But this will tell you the account that changed it, when it was changed, the description, and this will tell you what assets were changed specifically as well. So I'm going to make a couple changes, and this will be kind of hard to do on a single computer to show you all these changes. But I'm going to make a couple changes to this scene, and then I'm going to try to upload and download the changes. Yeah, this is going to be kind of, I don't have my other laptop. Normally I was going to have my other laptop and add changes and download them, but whatever, we'll just figure it out. So I'm going to create a new object, real simple. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to create a 3D object, and I'm going to click a cube. So for those of you who are super beginners, who've never done this before, all I did was right click into the hierarchy window. You can actually do it anywhere, but it's easier here. So in the hierarchy window is a list of all the objects. Oh, I'm not even in the right scene. I'm in untitled. I want to be in my sample scene. So I'm going to open up my sample scene. So I just double click. They look exactly the same. So now I'm in my sample scene. I see it right here. And all I'm going to do is these are all the objects that are in the scene, by the way. So right here I have a camera. If I hit the inspector, I see all the information for the camera and the directional light, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to create a new object. I'm going to right click here, hit 3D object, hit cube. And there we go. I have a cube right here. Look at that beautiful cube. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm so good at Unity, guys. I have no idea. So I made some changes. I didn't save them, but let's say I'm going to make a cube. And then this is going to be a messy folder, but I don't care. Let's say I'm going to create a prefab as well. So I'm just going to drag the cube into here. Normally you'd put this in its own folder called prefabs, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I have this nice blue icon, and then I'm going to save my scene. So I'm going to hit Control S. And now you see this little dot button. It means there are changes inside this folder. Oh look, see? There was a change here. So that's basically all it's saying. It's saying, hey, you made some changes. And now my collab symbol changed. And so I'm going to upload these changes to the cloud. Now sometimes, like I said, if you're juggling accounts and someone else logged in, it'll log you out. So sometimes that'll happen. Let me make sure I save the project. So sometimes that'll happen. So let's say you get signed out, and you may not even notice. It's not like it tells you. So what you'll see is you'll see this gray icon, and it'd be like, oh my gosh, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. So just sign in again. So you can hit this account button right here and just sign back in. It'll kick the other person out, but you only need to publish something to collab for like 30 seconds, right? If it's a big change, it'll take 30 seconds. If not, then you know, it takes a few seconds. So it's not that big a deal if you knock someone out. So I'm gonna log back in, and this is pretty much how we did it for Cambio. So Cambio has a team of 8 people, and 6 of them use the Unity project. So there are often times where, you know, you get kicked out. And look, I'm back in, and let's get rid of that. And I want to publish my changes now. It's really important to be descriptive here, because when you look at your timeline and you want to go back in your timeline, maybe something broke, or maybe you messed something up. You know, we're all new here. Maybe you wrote a script and totally ruined it. It'd be good if you knew what changes were made in the timeline, so that you don't go back too far, right? So that you don't undo everybody's work. Maybe you just need to go back one step. But maybe you really do need to go back really far. It's important to know what each of these steps in the timeline are. So right here, I'm just going to put, I made a kick-ass cube. And then I'm going to I'm gonna draw a little cube. There we go. Look at that. That's kind of a cube. There you go. And then let's just do a little heart because I love cubes. All right, so publish the changes, and look at that. That was super quick. Made a kick-ass cube. If I look at my collab history, it's here, and that's so. I want to show you guys a merge conflict because there will be times when you're working. Obviously, you're working a team, right? And I just uploaded a change. But what if somebody else moved? Well, the cube didn't exist yet, but assuming the cube already existed, right? It's already in the project, and someone changes it in the scene. In fact, they could change a lot of things in this scene and then upload those changes, and you might lose them. Unity is a little iffy on that. What I recommend is, let me show you Cambio right now. So Cambio is this other project right here. And it's a little wonky the way I set up the project, but let me try to make it look familiar again. Let me do default. Okay, so in Cambio, the programmers actually have their own scenes to test out their code. This is important because when you modify a scene, like right here, if I modify this scene and then someone else on another account modifies that same scene, you'll get what's called a merge conflict, and it's going to ask you to choose one or the other, and that's actually not a good choice, right? If you have to choose one or the other, because basically what you're deciding is whose changes are you going to keep and whose changes are you going to destroy. You don't really want to do that. So typically, if you're a programmer, or if you're a programmer, you don't work in the main level. So in Cambio we have, oops, wrong one. In Cambio we have a scenes folder. And in the scenes folder, whoa, this is an old project. This is like way behind. Let me look at the collab here. It's been a while since this is downloaded. Yeah, 247 revisions available. This is how far behind this project is. Wow. Okay, that's funny. Man, if I download it now, it will take a while. I'm really shocked at how far behind this is. I might have opened the wrong account. Well, it doesn't matter. So basically we have a main level. This is a testing scene that one of our 3D modelers made. So one of our 3D modelers was testing a shader on the crystals here, and testing out the modular pieces for these 3D models that another artist made. So basically what she was doing was she made her own scene. This is not a good name for that, but I would call it like a testing scene, right? So we have a testing folder, and in the testing folder is where I was testing a bunch of scripts. So I don't want to mess with anything here, right? So she was making a bunch of changes here. I don't want to mess with it. So I created my own scene, and that actually works pretty well. So let's open the testing scene. I'm just going to double click it. And so I have this testing scene right here where I created some really crappy looking crystals. Obviously her crystals are way better because she's actually using a 3D model. But I didn't need to do that. As a programmer, all I needed to do was create a basic ugly crystal and then give it a script to behave the way I want it to, because the crystals do interact with the player, and to mess with the player script. So I created a player and I created a character controller script. So, you know, this is just my scene. This is just a scene that I'm working in where I can make changes and not have a conflict with other people. And the scripts that I make are still available to everybody to work in their main level. So a lot of things in here in the testing folder are all scripts that are not finished, just stuff that I know aren't done. But when they are done, I move them here in the scripts folder. This is, man, this is such an old version of the project. This must have been like a week into the project, because I don't even have scripts moved over here. That's kind of funny. Oh, memories. This is early summer. So I make all these changes to the scripts, and when they're finished, more or less, I'll put them in the main scripts folder where everyone has access to them here, but at least they know that they're in the testing folder. So maybe they're a little sketchy, right? Either way, if you work in a separate scene, you won't have as many merge conflicts, but they will happen. And when that happens, you just choose, man, I wish I could make a merge conflict right now. It's kind of a pain to do it. But you'll just have to choose which one you'll merge with. Let me see if I can update. I don't want to. I'm not going to do that. So if I go back in time, I think it'll give me the option to see the merge. Okay, cool. So yeah, am I back in here? Yeah, so my cube is gone. So I went back in time and I'm not back here before I made that kick-ass cube. See, cube's gone. I don't see it anymore. Oh, poor cube. So if you see here, I'm gonna publish, right? If I publish right now, it's gonna say, hey, well, there was a cube prefab, and if you publish now, you'll actually be deleting it, right? So it's asking you, do you want to see the differences? Don't do this. This only really works with text files like scripts. Don't do this. Or you can ask to revert the asset back to how it was in the cloud. That's basically how you solve a merge conflict. It'll give you these two options. It'll say, hey, see the differences, and then pick one. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to restore back to the original, to the latest version. So that's basically what I'm doing. Hold on. So what I'm doing is, see how these have like little dots and this one doesn't? It's kind of hard to tell where you are. But if it says restore, then obviously you're not in this part of the timeline. But I went back in time to this part of the timeline with the blank project, and I want to go back to the cloud version. So I went back here and I realized, oh, you know what? I don't like what I did here. It's not working. I didn't save any of the changes, because if you do save the changes, it will ruin this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back forward in time to the latest, just restore. So I'm going to hit yes, and then it's going to ask me to reload, and I'm going to do that too. And then I'm back. That's pretty much all you need to know for collab. It's really, really simple. There's more advanced things, but it's kind of hard to do that without having other people actually like make changes, like make a merge conflict. But I think maybe I can fake it. So how would I do that? I guess I can sign out and sign in to number one. Okay, so I should be in account number one. I'm just worried it's not gonna work because it's literally using the same project, like on my hard drive. But I created an asset, right? Yeah. So I made a cube, and let's say that now I want to change the cube. So I'm changing the cube prefab. If you're not familiar with prefabs, it's basically like a blueprint. So basically this was copied off of a blueprint. So this exists in a scene. This is like a copy of this original master copy. And I can make changes to this master copy, and it'll affect pretty much every cube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I want the scale to be bigger. So I'm going to make this cube, the prefab, big. Like, oops, let's just make it a 5. Nice round 5. So now it's not a cube anymore, it's a rectangle. And if I save, so I press Control S to save. And oh yeah, this is a good icon to see. So this icon tells you that there were changes and they were made, but they haven't been uploaded yet. So basically what Unity does is that it keeps track of what has changed and what hasn't, and by who. So if you're opening a project and you see this, I wouldn't mess with it, right? So right now it says that somebody made changes to this prefab. So I would either contact them and be like, hey, I want to make some changes. Can you upload your changes? Because if you make changes to this too, it's going to make you choose between the two. It doesn't let you, it's not like GitHub where it lets you choose minute little differences. It's really kind of it's really like a big saw instead of a scalpel. So it can do that for a script. So if you make changes to a script, you can choose line by line, just like you would in GitHub. But when it's a 3D asset like this, or music, or pretty much anything that isn't a text file, it really doesn't behave in a way that I would trust. I don't really trust it. So when I see this, I don't mess with it. This is why I like making separate scenes. And this is why it's always good to upload your changes when you make them. So right now I'm going to upload this change because this change was made by me, so I don't really care. So I'm going to make this change, and I'm just going to say turned your cube into, oh man, what am I doing? I wrecked your cube. I wrecked it, bro. So now I made the cube a rectangle, and I want to see if it'll make the change. But again, I'm doing this on the same computer, so what I'm thinking is going to happen is that it's just modifying the project in the same place on the hard drive. So when I switch over to the other account, it's not gonna, you're not gonna see a merge conflict, which really sucks. I'm gonna close it and then reopen it and see if I can see a merge conflict. If not, I mean, merge conflicts are pretty intuitive. You know, you look at the button, highlight it, it'll tell you. It's basically just gonna tell you to choose between, you know, your version or their version. That's basically what it's gonna ask you. And in some cases, your version is probably the one you want to use. In some cases, it's their version they want to use. So I'm going to open up. Oh, I created a second one. Okay, well, that's might be a good sign. Yeah, it created, it has two. I wonder which one was which account. Well, I'm going to say this one. Let's see. I just want to see a cube, not a rectangle. Okay, even worse. Doesn't even have the cube. Well, that's cool. So let's do update. So I'm just gonna, I didn't really show you what I was doing today. So basically what you can do is you can download all the updates. So you can hit collab and just hit update now, and it'll give you all the revisions. So if you looked in Cambio, I have like 247 because this project's like months old for some reason. And it has all these revisions that you can kind of look at individually and find out, oh, well, you know, made a thing or whatever. In this case, it's really short. Instead of doing that, I actually just manually chose a different part of the timeline. So right here, because I want to create a merge conflict, that's basically what I'm trying to do. So right here, I still have the cube. So I'm going to go to assets, hit the prefab, and instead of changing the scale, I'm going to change the rotation. Oh well, that's not going to really help, is it? I'm going to make it more of a big ass cube. Yeah, let's make it 5 by 5 by 5. Whoa. What are you doing there? So now it's a big ass cube. Let's see. So now I want to update. Oh wait. Oh, it's not gonna let me. Damn it. Yeah, it's not gonna. Shoot. Yeah, it won't let me because what it's telling me is that because the change was on the cloud, it's basically not gonna let me update until I'm at the same point as the cloud. But a merge conflict would exist if you had two different changes on two different computers locally. So just like how I made that rectangle, if I have that change on, you know, someone else has that change on their computer, and then I make this change, and then we both try to update, you will get that merge conflict, but because I did it on the same computer, it's really not going to do that. I really want to show you that, but maybe I can find a video that will share kind of how to do that, but it's really simple. Like I said, you'll click on it, it'll ask you, it'll give you an option. It might give me this option now, but maybe it will. Okay, good, actually it did. Okay, good, it actually did work. So right here you see this big red icon, not big red, but bright red. It's saying, hey, you made a change on here that will either overwrite or be overwritten by the updates from the cloud. So what do you want to do with it? So it'll tell you exactly what the problem is, and it'll tell you here too as well. So it'll give you the name, and right here, see cube, right here, and it's the one with the conflict. And you can, I think you can right click or click the little icon. Oh, it's a conflict resolution. So you have two options. I don't really always do it this way, but it's more descriptive. So if you right click and see conflict resolution, it's like choose mine, choose theirs, external merge tool, see differences. Every time I use these, I always run into problems. I almost never do them unless I'm looking at a script. Then external merge tool or see differences really work. But if you open it, it's gonna be a bad day. You're gonna have a bad time. Here it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. It just uses icons instead. So if you just hover your mouse over, this will tell you launch external tool. Don't do that. Unless they fixed it, I don't know. There's been a couple updates, so maybe they fixed it, but generally this really only works with scripts. You'll just see a bunch of mumbo jumbo, a bunch of binary or whatever. So right here it'll say choose mine. The arrow's pointing up because it's saying push my changes to the cloud, upload my changes to the cloud, or choose theirs, download their changes to my project. So I want my queue to be wrecked, so I'm gonna choose theirs. And so basically what it's saying is that, hey, look, you're accepting the changes that were on the server on the cloud. You're gonna lose that change locally. It's gonna be gone. So make this decision wisely, because you may not be able to undo it always. So I'm gonna hit yes because I want to wreck my cube. So yeah, I wrecked your cubes right here. So now I have those changes, and it's really that simple. Really the only hiccup is sometimes, like I said, sometimes you'll be logged out if someone else uses it, but you really only need to be logged in for a second to make your changes or to download changes and to deal with merge conflicts. So Cambio, like I said, we have a team of 8 and we juggled 3 user accounts. Honestly, we juggled more like 2. We probably had about 3 or 4 people per account and didn't really have problems. Mostly because, you know, not everybody works at the same time, so I don't really think it's going to be too big a problem for you guys. The only issue is size. And Cambio is a big game, so I don't know if you guys have seen our game. I wonder how long it'll take to update. Probably forever. So we may not get a chance to actually see the game. But yeah, the game's about 300, wow, about 400 megabytes. It's actually pretty big. We do have a bunch of stuff in it. But it's a pretty big game. I don't expect people to have this much, but maybe you will. And if you guys need more, we are turning in a proposal to purchase an advanced account that gives you 25 gigabytes. But it's pretty expensive. I'm not sure if we're going to be approved, but I think we will be. But just keep in mind, try to keep it below 1 gigabyte. So, you know, GDU has assets, right? We purchased a bunch of assets. Let me see if I can open Discord. Where's Discord? Where are you? So, if you remember, I made this really big list of all the assets, but we also have a list. Maybe I can just do it here. Unity 3D. We have a big list of assets that we own, And one of the biggest problems, and I'm just going to show you guys how to do that real quick. It's going to just take 30 seconds. One of the biggest challenges that at least Team 𝗥𝗘𝗤𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗘𝗡𝗏 has, where do I just find my list? So Team 𝗥𝗘𝗤𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗏, we want to use Gaia. So Gaia is this really awesome, or actually we want to use the creature pack. Oh, this is actually taking quite a long time, probably because it's downloading so much. Yeah, my bad. Come on, you can do it. Stop. Okay. So in our lists, we have a bunch of assets. These are all paid assets. You guys have access to this list. So, oh shoot, this is free. Shouldn't be in this list. I think it's recently free because this was actually like a $2 asset. So anyway, anytime you see assets with money here, it's only accessible through our account, but you guys can access it as long as you are under our account. So we have like this this kind of this member agreement to sign. It's basically saying that if you use these assets that we purchased, that you can't actually sell your game until you repurchase the assets yourself. So if you want to go, you know, if you make a game at GDU, awesome. You guys want to sell that game later on, make some money on the side, fantastic. I think that's a good thing, and I think you definitely should do it. The thing is that if you want to go make money, you would be breaking away obviously from GDU because the money would be going to you, but you would also be violating the terms of services for the makers of these assets on the Unity store. And if you want to sell your game, you'd have to repurchase these things. So if you want to use this stuff and then you want to sell your game later, you got to fork over the $350. It's a bummer, but you know, that's the law. That's the agreement that we signed. So I want to add this to our game, but this pack is huge. It's 3.5 gigabytes. Can't be done, right? Well, what you can do is, if you still want to use it in your game, what you can do is you can create an empty project, import all these creatures into it, and then just pick the ones you like. So, you know, maybe I like this weird looking one. Okay, I'm gonna stop this because it's slowing down my internet real bad. Yeah, maybe I like this guy. You know, I want him in this game. I do kind of like this guy. Maybe I want him in this game. So if you just export this guy, and if you want to know how to export assets, you know, just Google it. It's probably like a 2-minute video on YouTube. But if I want this guy in my game, he's a lot smaller than 3.5 gigabytes. So basically I can export him and then re-import him into my main project that's on the cloud. So that's one way you can kind of add assets like this without going over the 1 gigabyte size. That's what I recommend. It's, you know, not ideal, but it's an option. So don't be scared away if you see this 3.5 gigabytes. Just put it in a separate project, export the few models that you want to use, and then put that in your project. And it should be less than 1 gigabyte. If not, then we'll talk. You know, there's options. I'll help you out. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I kind of want a little overtime. I mean, I'm exactly an hour, but I didn't want to do a whole hour. But that's pretty much all there is to it. I want to see the channel real quick. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, you can always ask me. I'm always here to help. Yeah, let me see. Pretty much it. If you guys have any questions. Yeah, so, okay, good. I was worried the audio wasn't working, but I can hear myself. So that's pretty much it. Just keep in mind, not everybody needs to be using Unity, but remember, create 3 accounts on Gmail, and you know, 1, 2, and 3, 𝗥𝗘𝗤𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗏 1, 2, and 3, Team Scrubs, gdu.teamscrubs 1, 2, 3, gdu.teamuptop 1, 2, 3. You know, 3 different Gmail accounts, and then share those accounts with everybody. And just as long as you're descriptive in your updates, you shouldn't have a problem. If you guys run into problems, again, just let me know. I'll help you out. I think that's everything. I hope I didn't miss anything. If not, I'll mention it later. But thanks for watching, and I hope this helps. Bye.